Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's the Mark Order Podcast. Ryan's here, so it means we get the theme abruptly cut off, as opposed to when Joe's here, who does the fade out, and I gotta say, it's kind of nice.
It'll forever be funny to me to do the hard cut because no one else does it, so that's why I think it's funny.
It's pretty all right. I'm not gonna lie. We've got AEW Dynamite to talk about. The go home to Double or Nothing, Double or Muffin, as it were in past years. Got a lot to talk about. Pretty good go home. I like a good go home that has some graps on it, and we got some graps tonight, and I appreciate that about this. But feel free to chat along with us. We appreciate you. We see you in the chat already. We see Trey. We see Taylor. We see Fernando. We see Matthew Hooks. We see Kylie. We see Pieces and Scott George. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please do leave a thumbs up on this video as well. It helps us quite a bit in the old algorithm, as it were. And if you're not subscribed to the Mark Order Podcast, what the heck are you waiting for? Subscribe along. Hang out with us on Wednesday nights. Occasionally we do pay-per-view like prediction shows. We haven't done one of those in a while. We're just trying to get all three of us in the same room at the same time, it seems, of late.
It's been a rough few months.
Yeah, it's just been busy. It's been hectic in a lot of ways. Whenever I'm absent, it's like more often than not a string of them. Like for some reason, it always ends up just being like, hey, I'm out 3 weeks in a row and I'm letting you know day of half the time. Like
you're going on
if I'm subbing at Fightful or whatever. I won't say what Joe is doing tonight, but it's honestly kind of cute. So we'll let him off the hook.
Super cute.
It is, though, classic grind running, as we do sometimes on the Mark Order. But I'm stuck with Ryan. I'm not mad about it. I'm a little alarmed by the fact that we match today.
Oh, yes.
You've got Flyers colors on. I got my TMTK hoodie on.
That's because TMTK, while they do in fact kneel, they did at least recognize good colors.
Well, I feel like that's one thing. I mean, they're an Australian stable, so I'm not going to say that they probably like have an NHL alliance. The fact that Team Taz has the same colors and they're so heavily New York, that's a little more jarring, I feel like.
Well, I'm assuming the orange is because of the Mets for Taz.
That could be. That would make more sense. But he doesn't go with the Mets royal blue, which is weird.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I don't know. Like, maybe he just didn't think that was intimidating enough.
That's possible. It's a little bit baseball colors in general. It's like a little too charming to be intimidating. Like baseball's too like charming of a sport. I feel like it's not a contact sport, so it's not like oh, aggressive. Mean out of the box. Like
the Knicks have orange too, so I guess maybe that was his.
That's true. Philadelphia, kind of an amalgamation over there. There's not consistency within your city, which not every city is. New York isn't. But like
close.
But like you look at like Pittsburgh or whatever, like there's a couple that are consistent. Philly's all over the map. You've got like that beautiful. I love the Eagles green, honestly. Like that evergreen is very pretty.
I like the Kelly green.
You like the Kelly green? The Kelly green's nice too. I have no shade for a Kelly green. I liked that kind of like evergreen though. You got the 76ers, obviously. That feels like the most on theme for like the history of the city.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Their colors make sense with the city and the name.
Yeah.
But the Phillies are all over the place. They kind of go with the Sixers now that they're more just hardcore red. But then they will randomly pull out the maroon or the baby blues, and I loved the maroon, so I can't really.
I like the throwback blue too. Is nice, honestly.
baby
Like
blues.
I like I'm liking the like retro, especially for baseball. Like I like the retro throwbacky uniforms.
Better than the City Connect or whatever they are.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. But
And the Flyers wanted to be red, but there was too many red teams when they joined the league, so they originally did a burnt orange that was as close to red as you could get.
okay, I respect that. That makes sense.
It changed a little.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, we've got a lot to talk about on the AEW side of things, so hang out with us as we work through it. Not a ton on like the news and note front, but we did have some. The news that we had was big. We had Willow Nightingale re-signing, which is fantastic news. As of last week, she was largely expected to sign, at least on the Fightful Select side of things. On the SmackDown post show that Sean intruded on, he had said like 99.5%, and she seemed like one of those face of the company talents that you can't lose. I certainly would love Mariah May to stick around, but like if she goes, that's certainly a hit to the women's division. If Willow goes, it feels like you're missing a piece of AEW, and is kind of the feeling that I was getting with that. And it seems like a lot of other people felt that way too. Ryan, your thoughts on Ms. Willow resigning?
The resigning or just Willow in general? Because Willow in general, I love her. She's amazing.
All of it.
The signing. Listen, I think I'll be fair. Most of the time that AEW loses a wrestler, I'm not happy about it because I tend to like what they're doing there. But there are times, Ricky Stark, Ethan Page, I'm like, go so I can watch you wrestle. So I would have been. I like so much of Willow's presentation and how her whole thing in AEW, and it fits so perfectly in the. I would have been legitimately like, God damn it. And that's not to say she couldn't nail it else in like WWE if she went there. I just think she's so perfect right now where she is and has so much potential to even be better that I'm like, I would have, I think, not, and from their point of view, that would have been a swing and a miss to not sign her because she's perfect for them.
I agree. And part of, I think, what makes Willow so special is like she has this obvious lovable magnetism to her. But like when she cranks it up and gets serious in a real feud, or when she gets to crank it up in a death match, we're going to see her in Anarchy in the Arena. Like that juxtaposition, I think, is special. And that's something that WWE generally like leans away from. So I'm glad we still get to see that continue. Now, would I have interest in seeing Willow Nightingale versus Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley? Like, of course I would. But at the same time, like just from an overall presentation, I'm glad that we still get to see Willow in the extreme environments, because I think that the contrast of like how heartwarming her character is with the fact that she excels so much in ultra-violent matches is such a like fun and special thing. So
yeah, I don't want to. I'm not here to talk trash on because I like WWE. I watch it, but I don't.
Ryan shoots on WWE.
I don't know how they'd handle her overly happy side, because WWE tends to overlean into things. Like if you have an aspect to your personality, they tend to really want you to be that personality. So I don't know, like you just said, it's real. The dichotomy of her, 1 second she's super happy, and this super over baby face, and she has blood on her shirt and she's beating the hell out of someone. I don't know if WWE would have allowed that from her. I think she could have very easily fallen into a very silly, happy gimmick there, and I don't know how that would have played out. Not saying it's necessarily she couldn't, like they would, but that's my fear with someone like her, who her gimmick it works so well, and I think it's because it's really not a gimmick. I think she's probably just a very happy person, but it has the potential of just really being cheesy and not helpful, and somehow she's managed to not do it. So I did have a fear if she went elsewhere, like would they just overplay that hand? Whereas here, she's great.
Agreed entirely. And we've got some more people joining in the chat. Big G, Greg Cherry, who's wonderful, and of course, Jesse Ozog. Hi, Jesse Ozog. It's great to see you. We love having you here on a Wednesday night. It means so much that you take the time to listen to us as we talk about AEW. Oh, thank you for saying hi back. We appreciate it so much. Jesse Ozog. Legend.
Me?
I wish Jesse Ozog was on stream. You can't even do it.
I know how it looks in my head, so I'm trying to think of like how it looks on screen. EW. I'm trying to, like, because I know it in my head, and then you flips and
Ryan versus hand gestures continues to be a thing. Because if you want to throw up the Aussie Open one right now, nope, that's not it. But let's kind of take our commercial break a little earlier than we normally do. There's just not a ton on the news front side of AEW, so we're not going to waste any time, but we will get on with the Dynamite review shortly after this commercial break.
all right. So what I got to do first, Kate, here is I got to put the commercial overlay, and then so now they don't see you, but you are paying attention, and then I
Got
can
it.
We'd
play
like to
on
thank each and
commercials.
every one of you for tuning in every Monday night to listen to The Shining Wizards. If you'd like to continue to support us outside of listening, we've got a few ways for you to do that. If you shop at Amazon, go over to amazon.shiningwizards.com, do your shopping as usual, and when you make your purchase, a little bit of that purchase price will go back to support the show. If you like to wear t-shirts, merch.shiningwizards.com will take you to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, where we've got over a dozen great designs from over 11 years of professional wrestling podcasting. You can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/wizardspodcast, where each and every week we call out your name as one of our show producers, and the more you support us, the more things that you're entitled to receive, and believe me, they are fantastic. If you can't support us monetarily, if you don't shop at Amazon, that's absolutely fine. Continue to listen to us wherever you listen to us on the World Wide Web, and make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out, and we can continue to bring you the love fest that is The Shining Wizards.
What's up, folks? It's your boy, the Impact Player, Mr. Philly Ray, inviting all of you to check out the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Join us as we cover all things current in the world of pro wrestling, as well as paying homage to the old school, the squared circle. So listen in and find out why we are the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting. Find us on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast from. And as always, we are the proudest members of the Shining Wizards Network and Rant Entertainment Media.
Are you tired of being lied to every day by the mainstream media?
Do you want to know what's really going on in the world?
Do you want to make up your own mind about things and not be told what to think or say?
Then listen to Inconclusive Breakdown, a weekly anti-PC look at the world of entertainment and current events, brought to you without censorship or filters.
You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, BitChute, and on ShiningWizardsNetwork.com.
And also, we're a proud member of the Shining Wizards Network.
Got 30 minutes to kill?
Come check out 30 Screams or Less, where we review a horror movie in 30 minutes or less. We cover new movies and old ones too.
We'll give our honest thoughts on the movie, good or shit, as well as a rating of each one that we watch.
New episodes weekly, available on the Shining Wizards Network and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Corey.
Come check us out at 30 Screams or Less.
G'day guys, my name is Thomas, one half of the Broadcast Podcast. With our podcast, we go back and watch wrestling events from WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, AEW, and many other wrestling promotions. You can check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast, that's TheBrokast, and you can also download all episodes on Apple Podcast, Castbox, Castro, and many other podcast apps.
If you like your music heavy, then check out Radioactive Metal on the Shining Wizards Network. For over 16 years now, Radioactive Metal has been one of the longest running podcasts. Over the years, we've interviewed some legendary metal acts, had some awesome discussions, and cranked a hell of a lot of tunes. So join your cool Uncle Snowy and his co-host Aaron for the audio mosh pit that is radioactive metal here on the Shining Wizards Network.
Well, the action is underway.
What's up, everyone? When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure to check out Wrestling Night in Canada. If we're not recording another kick-ass podcast,
Or playing in punk bands.
Or recording kick-ass heavy metal albums.
then we're sitting back, we're grabbing a couple brews, and going over everything to do in the world of pro wrestling.
Because we're from Winnipeg, you idiots.
The Mark Order Podcast is the only show you need if you're looking for dedicated coverage of everything AEW on the Shining Wizards Network. Join us live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern after Dynamite to chat along with the show. If you can't join us live, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social channels at MarkOrderPod and use the hashtag #JoinTheMarkOrder, because if you don't find us,
we will find you.
I'm Kevin Rogue.
I'm Al Day.
And we're a couple of down under pounders that co-host Rogue Day Dots, an action figure collecting podcast where we talk about, well, just about anything that tickles our fancy at any given moment.
We're grumpy old men, and sometimes people get on our nerves. And when you get on our nerves, guess what? You get off the lawn.
Get off my lawn, asshole! We also go on a little bit of a mission. We go back and we're grading every wrestling figure line that's out there. I'm talking LJNs. I'm talking Jacks. I'm talking Hasbros. Who doesn't like a little Hulkaplex? It's a Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production found on the Shining Wizards Network.
I'm Duke Bags.
Kevin Rowe.
And together we are the co-hosts of Your Duke and Road. If you want to hear about some terrible wrestling shows, we got you covered.
Well, we talk about good ones, too.
We're currently talking about the death of WCW.
I know what we're fucking talking about. Sometimes we get guest spots, like from the Taskmaster. I like to listen to the Year of Duke and Rope podcast. They're funny guys. I like when they talk about the Nards plows. I like Nards plows. That's a good move. And I like the Dungeon of Doom. You know, sometimes I call my butt the Dungeon of Doom. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Let me tell you a little bit about my favorite wrestling podcast. All right. It's a podcast with two men, Duke Bags, Kevin Rowe. They talk about professional wrestling. It's a man's sport, all right? And who better to talk about a man's sport than Duke? Oklahoma.
And once in a while, Vince Russo stops by.
Whoa, you piece of shit! If you're not listening to the Year of Duke and Rope podcast in the back with the boys, you piece of shit, I don't know what you're doing. It's, you gotta slide one in there. If you're a man, you're talking about something only a man can do. You're talking about sliding one in there. Bro, take the time to slide one in there. All right, bro, you piece of shit, slide one in there. A Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production that you can find on the Shining Wizards Network.
All right, we are so back and ready to talk some AEW Dynamite. One thing that did kind of fit into the news and notes section, perhaps, is that Mina Shirakawa is officially All Elite. Kind of just a formality at this point. We saw her last week. Had been reported by Fightful Select already. So, but she got graphicked up. And anytime someone gets a graphic before RJ City, it should be noted on media across the industry. So I did just want to point that out.
I did legitimately forget that she didn't receive a graphic until now, because
she said, "I ain't sending shit till you give me my old theme back." That's what Mina said.
And they did, thank God.
So let's dive into it. Ryan, what did you think about tonight's show overall? I thought for a go home, it was pretty good. I think the selling point of AEW is the wrestling aspect. So when there are actual matches on go home shows that have some life to them, I think it's incredibly helpful. Also, blessedly, an Ian Riccaboni episode. I am obviously an Ian Riccaboni stan, but I genuinely and objectively am so impressed by his ability to fit in to the third man role, because that's kind of an awkward role on a commentary desk. You're like, okay, we've got the play-by-play guy, we've got color commentary, and then also this other guy. And he's really, really good about not crowding the desk and not getting in Excalibur's way, but still, like, everything he says adds a ton of value. So I just think that's really cool that when you're normally a play-by-play, you can kind of slide into another seat that easily. And as I mean, I'm a professional commentator, Ryan. I get paid to commentate at a little promotion called Excite Wrestling. I'm not sure if you know that, but I can speak from experience about how challenging it is, man, just being in the biz. But sincerely, Ian just adds a new life to these broadcasts. And on a go home, I think it's particularly noteworthy because you're trying to sell people on a pay-per-view, Ryan. Like, let's get some people in there that can talk about this product with some enthusiasm, you know?
I'm sorry, I assumed you were going to continue to praise yourself and your skill at commentating.
Oh, I assumed you were going to cut in with some stupid reference to an early 2000s song. So I guess we're both wrong.
All the things she said are running through my head.
Running through my head.
Now, he is by far one of the best at this, or at least currently. And part of that is his ability to switch from the main guy to the third role and fit perfectly in both. I think he works well with Excalibur in that he covers for him, but not in a way like they haven't. I don't know. It just, he knows when to fit in, I guess is a better way to say it. Like when Excalibur leaves it something hanging, he picks it up and goes with it instead of just doing the Tony thing, which is just yelling a line.
Yes. And like everything he says is value add in those situations, which is that's the part that impresses me so much, to your point, where it's like it doesn't sound like a soundboard, and it's like he doesn't interrupt unless he has something of note to say. So good vibes on the broadcast overall. And you know I love it when we start with wrestling, but holy shit, did we start with a good go home promo. Shout out to Jesse Ozog, by the way, who, while I was talking about my own commentary experience, so humbly mentioned, like, I am a part of this business of pro wrestling.
When's the last time you even did commentary?
2 months ago. What a piece of business that we got from Hangman Adam Page and Will Ospreay to send home this match. This was awesome. I felt like both of them came out feeling like they could possibly win this. I think both of them came out explaining why it's so much more than a title shot to both of them. I would even say especially Hangman, but Will Ospreay really fired up in a lot of this. I do think it's Will's time, but I just thought all of this was great to open. This is how you do face versus face feuds, man. Like, this is why you don't need to stick to archetypes all the time, especially in a tournament situation, right? Because it's just who ends up on what side of the bracket. But man, Hangman, occasionally, it's not even that often, but occasionally I just feel like Hangman's like, what if I just wrecked everybody with emotion? Like, what if I just did that? What if, as the purest babyface going into facing Kenny Omega, I just ruined everybody with my emotion? What if I talked authentically about how, like, I'm a man because I show up even when life is hard and the meds aren't working and I am still here against Jon Moxley. And then tonight we get like this really beautiful, sincere plea about not only like does he need to do this to prove to himself that these past 2 years of hell were worth it, and that it's he can do something other than obsess about Swerve. He has to prove to his wife and his kid that have watched him go down this spiral that he can be a champion again and he can be that man again. And the best part to me was because there was this very loud corner of fans that had this Hangman did nothing wrong thing. For him to say, I have to do it for the people who stuck by me for the past 2 years that I didn't deserve it, was like such a just his delivery was so like grossly relatable, like of just really authentically emoting the idea of like there's just people that have loved me when I've been at my worst, so now I have to go and do good for them. That's something that I think every human being on earth can relate to, of like, I had these people in my corner when things sucked, and now I want to go out and be the person that they had faith in, is like such a simple and beautiful thing to me. And I also absolutely loved what we got from Ospreay with all of this, including him like standing on his shit, just being like, it is my time. I'm the best in the world. He was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my best. And let me remind you that that best has beat Okada, Omega, like ran down this list. But I love that Hangman said, like, do you have what it takes to beat Jon Moxley? Like, do you have that in you? And he goes, I don't know. And I just thought that was so beautiful and honest of him being like, I don't know if I do, but I'm going to do my damn best. I know you do. And so that's the version of Hangman I want in the finals of this tournament. But I'm not sure. Is like such a beautiful and honest direction to go in. But then to pad it with the idea of like, but my best was good enough to beat this list of guys, I think is a fantastic, fantastic move. All aces opening up the show for me. I thought this was so great. What did you think of our opening segment here?
You covered a lot of ground there. I'm going to say the first thing I like is that this feud isn't about former best friends fighting. This feud isn't about
about best friends.
This isn't about like some deep betrayal. This is two guys who are totally separate from each other with their own goals that make perfect sense, and they just happen to be crossing paths, and yet it makes for an extremely intense moment. And I just really, because it's probably, and I'm not saying just this has happened other times in wrestling, but it's probably it's the closest wrestling gets to feeling real, in a sense of like when, and feeling like an actual sport. Like when two teams meet up in the playoffs, most of the times their seasons have been going on their own. They have their own stories, but for the moment they collide, it gets personal, even though their stories have nothing to do with each other. And then one wins and continues on. And that's kind of what it is here. Each has their own personal story. Hangman's beautifully told 2-year story of being an asshole that he now has to justify being that asshole and saying like it was worth it. And Ospreay kind of not quite as emotionally deep as Hangman's, but also extremely relatable, where it's like, I'm at that level now that if I don't do this, what does that say about me?
Sure.
It's just, and for this moment, that makes it extremely personal between the two, because each of them has a goal that the other is standing in the way of. But at the same time, as soon as their match is over, I don't have problems with this feud not going on. Like, have this match.
Right. A tournament brought them here. So
yes.
Yeah. I have been on the train lately of there's not enough people on television, on American wrestling television, that just hate each other's guts and want to beat each other up. And like part of the desire for that is because we're also not getting enough stuff like this. Like these two guys want to beat each other up for the reason of a world title shot, and they assigned so much value to that today. But this is such a refreshing story, and you're right, because it's in a sea of like, this person was my friend and they betrayed me. Like, it is so different than anything else that's going on. I've also been on the train of promos are not speaking segments. Promos are to promote a match. And today they promoted the hell out of the match. Like, I think they assigned so much value going into it. I am so ready to see this on Sunday now. Like, I'm so excited. So this was really, really, really incredible work. And
it's a good point
also
that this
just
was an actual promo.
Yeah. Like it really kind of
both
kicked
of them
the shit
explained-
out of it.
Both of them explained why this match matters. Not their feud, not which really didn't exist until not anything else. Why this exact match? That's a good point. I really appreciate that. Good insight,
It's
Kate.
something that is kind of like a big part of my Eddie Kingston fandom of like, that guy is always promoting the match he's about to be in. It's a part of my Samoa Joe fandom too, is like Samoa Joe is always promoting the match that he wants to be in. Like, that's why he doesn't like these face-to-face segments. He said it himself. He was like, at some point, if you do too many of them, you look kind of pathetic because you're supposed to want to beat the guy that's across the ring from you. And I really like that aspect of the way those two guys work. And it's something that occurred to me is because like they're always telling me why they want to beat up the other guy. It's kind of just that simple. And this wasn't so much in a brawl way, but it was this is why this match means so much to me, and I'm gonna fight you for it way. And I really, really, really liked it. So aces all around. Other thing before we close the loop on it, and I know we're spending a lot of time on it, but it was really fucking good. So I do want to point this out. At the end of the cage match with Swerve, I remember reviewing that and talking. I was on air with Alex Pulowski, and everybody was talking about how crazy violent that was and how it was one of the best death matches ever. And all of that was true. But Alex could not get off of, and I noticed it too, but he was fixated on it. And now he's been proven right. Hangman wasn't satisfied by it. His emotional reaction to everything that him and Swerve gave to each other was, I beat him. I almost killed him. And I don't feel what I thought I was going to feel. He fell apart after that in a way that I don't know if everybody picked up on because they were just so stunned by what they saw in the match. But Alex keyed in on it immediately and was like, oh, I know what this is because he's a fucking cowboy. I know where this is headed now. And the acting job by Adam Page after killing each other for 45 minutes to deliver the emotional performance that led to exactly where it ended up going, of him being like, we're now in character arc mode of like, obviously he was obsessed with Swerve, but he also tried to get back to the title in the Fatal 4-Way with Mox and Orange Cassidy and all. Like, he's been trying to get back to gold, right? And like, he hasn't been set. He's still scratching for that thing that's going to make him feel better. And the fact that started with Swerve and that death match, and he's just been trying to ever so slowly like work his way through it and back, is so interesting to me. And the way that he still keeps crossing paths with Swerve makes me think like, ultimately the friendship with Swerve is the thing that needs to get resolved here. So I think Will Ospreay wins this, but you could easily sell me a ticket that Hangman does, which is the beauty of all of this. Loved Will Ospreay also talking about like, I want to go into Forbidden Door with that belt on my shoulder or my waist because like it's in his home country, and he talked about all of his personal growth. So I just love how satisfying this whole thing has been, and the fact that it started with him falling apart after beating Swerve in one of the most violent death matches ever. Amazing. Keep saying I know from Swerve is eating him alive. Yeah, like all of those interactions, like as we progress, just have these magnifying glasses on them because they all seem like they mean so much. So that shit rules. I don't know if you have anything you want to add about that, but it's been in the back of my mind of like it started way the fuck back there.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually the trope. I don't say trope, but what they're going for here is a long established literary thing, which is like revenge doesn't satisfy you. Going down this dark path is very rarely like going to make you happy. You have to accept who you are, what life is, and all that jazz. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. The Knicks almost blew their game, and now they're winning in overtime, so they'll probably win. But so it's a literary thing that you see a lot, but it's still very nice to see it played out in wrestling, because wrestling usually only sticks to its own tropes. It doesn't borrow from greater world. Hangman has been telling, since he got into AEW, one long story after another, and they all are so good. I don't know how he continues to be one of the few people that can pull off these super long-term stories and no one ever's like, what the hell's going on?
It's crazy when you think about it, when you see Hangman Adam Page at his peak as a babyface defeating Kenny Omega to become the world champion. There's no way you can think this guy and not an overhauled character change can't be the heel that he was on this, right? Like it's nuts how much of a ride this guy takes you on with so much ease. I just am continually blown away by exactly what you said of like Hangman Page is the main. People say like Hangman Page is the main character of AEW. It's because he has these overarching character arcs and long-term stories that are the most successful ones in the company, largely. I mean, from a long-term story perspective, he's got 2 of the 3, I feel like, at least. So especially on the men's side, you could certainly argue for Mariah and Tony, but like Kenny and Hangman was so important, Swerve and Hangman was so important, and he was the opposite side of the same coin in both of those. It's nuts.
He's also one of the, and I mean, I say written, I don't know how much is written, how much isn't, because AEW is a little different, but best written babyface to heel characters ever. Like all of his you can track his motivations and they all make sense and they're all relatable. But like what made him the babyface to start, what then brought him down, but then brought him back up, and then his descent because of Swerve and what led him there to what's going on now. Like everyone references the Big Show, but it's a great comparison. The Big Show was a babyface and he wasn't a babyface, and he was a babyface and he was, like his turns never made sense. And Hangman somehow has made and he's across both companies, I think probably one of the best at doing it. You look at you look at a couple in the company, like the Bucks, some of their stuff is all over the place. Omega's is now, they've tried to make it a little bit more consistent, but like his has just been, it's been really well done. And Ospreay might be the perfect person to go against him in this match because he's almost like, even though he came in as a heel, everyone's forgotten that. And now he's just pure. Like he's just, hey, I'm here. I'm not just happy to be here because I care enough that I want to win, but I love wrestling so much. And so I don't like, there's something to that I think a lot of people relate to.
That certainly an AEW crowd loves a guy that is in love with wrestling. Like that's to me the perfect 1-to-1 thing of like Will Ospreay very clearly loves professional wrestling. Like this guy comes across as a little kid who loves professional wrestling. And AEW fans love professional wrestling. Like they love that aspect of this industry. So I agree with you. Like I think this is going to be fun. I'm very intrigued to see if this is a Hangman match or if this is an Ospreay match or if they give us both, like from a stylistic perspective, because a lot of people forget, like Will Ospreay, when it comes to it, he can do some gnarly shit. He can do some violent shit. So
I think
I'm so
people
in on
also
this.
forget that how good of a wrestler Hangman is.
Yeah, he can wrestle and not just
He's
brawl.
become such a character and in the best way, but that has taken him from it's kind of in some ways the MJF syndrome, where like who you are outside the match has so overshadowed your match persona that people forget how good you are. And he's not Ospreay level, but he's great. So like you're right, it's gonna be, I think you're gonna, and it should main event. They've now put enough drama and emotion behind it, and it might be a tamer way to end a show that the show might need it.
Yeah, they announced on the show, I believe, that this will be main eventing. So I think that's good. I don't know how you do that with Anarchy in the Arena also being a thing. So I hope they don't turn it into a co-main event. But Jesse Ozak, a gentleman and a scholar, did point out, like, sincerely, he did an Iron Man match with Danielson on free TV. Like, his in-ring acumen is right there. I think he's so successful at translating the in-ring to match his character that people do forget that aspect of it. I agree with you on that. But let's move along into this Samoa Joe powerhouse Hobbs Swerve trio defeating Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks. This was overbooked, but a lot of fun, to be honest. Like for a go home, I thought it was good because you got the pop of Willow coming out at the end of this. You have the pop of Omega coming out at the end of this. I love that he set up for the one-winged angel with I think it was Matt Jackson, and Claudio just plucks him off his shoulders. I thought that was such a clever thing to do because Claudio has the size to just be like, beep. I thought that was such a great way to get him out of it.
Yes.
But a good match here. You do have the faces winning, and then you also have post-match Claudio and Wheeler attacking until returning Katsuyori Shibata comes back. A lot of people have forgotten he's been a little bit injured in this. Like he's been peripheral to this, but Marina cuts him off with a low blow, which Taz was like, that is the lowest of blows. That cracks me up. But that's what prompts Willow to come in with the pounce. She looks great, by the way. It seems like she's been working on her conditioning because she looks like just incredible shape. But that's when Kenny comes down, delivers that V-trigger to Matthew before that one-winged angel through the table. But Castagnoli drags Matthew, our EVP, back to safety, which I really did like that spot. But Samoa Joe says they're not waiting for them for Sunday. They're going to come after them again tonight. Samoa Joe it's the what I was saying before with like Eddie and him being in that same school of thought of just like, the reason this guy always sounds like such a badass is because he's constantly looking for a fight against people. And like people appreciate that in pro wrestling, I think. So this was overbooked, but it was all overbooking that made sense. And on a go home show, I don't mind it as much, especially when some of the in-ring in this was just fantastic, honestly. Like this was a fun amalgamation of guys. Wondering what you thought of the match, and also wondering, who do you think joins them at Anarchy in the Arena? Do you think Darby comes back already? Do you think maybe Hook is ready? Do you think miracles beyond all miracles that Eddie Kingston partner can throw a garbage can or two, bring maybe a gasoline can around? I do think it's more of a possibility because I don't think he has to be properly cleared to participate in this match because it's not blood and guts. It's Anarchy in the Arena, right? So you can protect a lot of stuff with some goofy shit. Like you can cover up a lot of what would be like exposing spots. Darby, it feels very early. I don't even know if he's back down the mountain yet. but I do think that would be nuts for him to
why that
already
made
be back in the ring. But that's Darby. So what do you think? Who's returning to help him out?
I don't know why that made me laugh, but I don't know if he's back down the mountain yet.
Genuinely, like I don't know
No, it takes
how
a while
that
to go
Everest
down
shit
too.
works, man.
Unless like they'd have to have been lying about his timeline of Everest for him to be back. I think Eddie Kingston would be the pick if I had my picks. Like you said, even if he can't do a full thing, if he just comes in and has a chair and just beats people for a little while, then like that's his moment. You said the match was a bit of a clusterfuck, but I enjoyed it. I get Shibata. They were whether he was hurt or they're playing up the hurt. You know, it's one of those things of like I'm okay with it right now, but I don't love the idea that my trios champions are not in the trios match. Only 2 of them are, and the third like I don't want to get back into that. They were just starting to make the trios belts matter, and they're not. You know, they don't need to do that again.
Well, he's been injured though.
It was well, but he clearly wasn't injured tonight.
Right. The other aspect of this that we haven't really talked about is Gabe Kidd, right? Like he said he works for Moxley, not for AEW. He has not signed a New Japan contract that's been reported at least yet. He has been on rampages about being anti every other promotion, so I don't know how that works, but like Gabe Kidd being involved peripherally because he's not in the match makes me wonder if Eddie Kingston is there just to run him off and give them they would get the pop of a lifetime with that, right? Like that would be nuts. So the Gabe Kidd factor also interesting here.
Yeah. So so can we just, for the sake of conversation, combine the this and the end? Can we talk about the end? Because I have comments.
Sure, we can talk about the end.
So this beatdown was what it was. And it was fine. I have no big
tables, chairs, chains. Oh my! Like it was.
I'm talking about like the beatdown at the end of the match.
Go home,
yeah,
for sure.
So the beatdown at the end of the match, fine. I get it. I really laughed when Joe came out with the trash can as the Bucks were walking away. I don't know why, that just was really funny to me. That like I knew he was going to pop out of nowhere, but just the trash can made me laugh. My problem was, and who am I to complain? But they took it too long.
I'll agree with that.
That would have been the perfect. You could have had Gabe come out and make a save, save Mox specifically, and while everyone else is still fighting. But it should have ended with everyone still brawling, and just been like it's a very classic like WCW style thing. But like, oh my god, and that's our show for the night. You didn't have to redo all the earlier spots of like who's getting one over on who and who's like. You did that you did that in their match. You don't need to do that all again. Just end that they still can't keep fighting.
I think that's fair. I will say the match was like Swerve was wrestling. You know what I mean? Like it was a proper wrestling match. Like it was not just chaos breaking loose in the match. So I do appreciate that there was at least a little
chaos, though.
It wasn't a redundancy,
but it became
I agree,
chaos.
It became chaos, and I agree that like the ending went on too long because that should have just been Samoa Joe said, "I'm not finished with you tonight," right? So like that should have just been that could have even been more of like a backstage beatdown or whatever. Like that didn't need to it didn't need to progress that heavily, especially because you're leading to something that's ultra violent. So they're being like chains and stuff in this, but they're also trying to sell pay-per-view. So I get both sides of that, but I agree that it was too long. I
guess I could be, maybe I'm unique. To me, I'm more interested, and it does look like the Knicks blew their game, which is hilarious to me as a Sixers fan. They were up a lot with not that much time left.
I heard there was a missed goaltending foul. My phone blew up.
I mean, they're just going to complain because their team blew a lead, and I don't have sympathy for that. my whole thing is maybe it's just me. I'm more interested if they end while they're still all brawling and being like, this is just chaos. Tune into Anarchy in the Arena to see like chaos continue. And then you could have done a social thing where like you don't show it all, but you show some of it breaking apart. It's a special thing for people in the arena who want it. Like, it just, to me, that's, instead of being like, we've seen all this before where each one then does their shot and then someone comes down and then someone does their thing. I don't know. Not my favorite.
It is also like pretty old school. I feel like to go home with them like still brawling.
I think it's one of the more fun things they can do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Well, MJF and the Hurt Syndicate. It happened at tonight. It happened with Alicia Atute. She's interviewing the Hurt Syndicate backstage and their legal team when MJF arrives with Mark Sterling. There's some fist bumps. MJF has an incredible suit on. Unbelievable suit. Him constantly dismissing Alicia when they are engaged is very funny. Or at least heavily partnered up. But we get the Hurt Syndicate coming to the ring. MVP introducing MJF as the new member. I love him saying, you've been watching the drama unfold, because I felt like that was a good acknowledgement of like walking that line between kayfabe and real life. I thought that was good. And they finalize the deal. MJF calls it the best day of his life. He buries his mom in the process. He said his mom always told him, the day you marry the woman you love is the best day of your life. And he said, well, that dumb bitch never joined the Hurt Syndicate. But then Dustin Rhodes comes out with Sammy Guevara, and he just lies very passionately, very artfully, with a lot of fire in his voice. He just makes up a bunch of shit about how they earned this and how they're like constantly workhorses, and they don't even defend the titles that they have on the show that they are champions of. They have not been like tearing up the tag team division and constantly beating guys. This is just a bunch of bullshit. I don't know what else Dustin Rhodes is supposed to say in this situation, but I would appreciate if he didn't just lie to my face about this. This doesn't work for me, brother. Like, I don't have any interest in Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes coming after the Hurt Syndicate. That does absolutely nothing for me. There's not a chance in hell that they win. And I like that the tag titles are on a real deal team. And I like that they've been going after fan favorites. And I appreciate how lively Dustin Rhodes was in his promo. I would appreciate it more if literally anything he said about it was true, other than the fact that like they care, but they don't work. They don't have tons and tons of matches. Like, that's on any show. They don't have tons and tons of matches. Like, weak shit. Really, really weak. Really well delivered. Really weak shit. Really poorly written.
You have no proof of this.
No proof of what?
That they don't have these matches.
I mean, I still have an ROH subscription.
But no one watches.
Even better. Even more supportive of my point.
Meaning that you can't prove that they didn't. Because no one is watching to say they didn't. No, I have a couple issues with this whole this was, and I've enjoyed the MJF Hurt Syndicate storyline. I've actually been in on it. I think it's been fun. This is one of the first ones that fell flat to me. They drug out the signing as if something was going to happen. Like,
yeah, they kind of hinted that there was going to be something within the contract, like with the way that they teased both lawyers. It kind of felt like something in the contract was going to be a snuck in their clause about something, which they could still kind of do. But like, I agree that this seemed like it was setting up for more of a swerve.
Yeah, they could still do it, but like, first of all, well played. They could still do it, but it doesn't have the same feeling then. Like when you do it the same night of, like he signs the contract and then they're like, ha 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 ha, got you. There's this, I don't know, there's a reward, instant reward that you get for that sitting through the segment. If you make me 2 weeks from now or even this Sunday have it spun on them, I don't have the same feeling. I'm like, all right, good job. Like that's you kind of so I didn't enjoy that. And yeah, I like Sammy and Dustin as a team. I actually have in ROH. I think they've been fun down there, but
I'm over it. I liked it initially. I'm over it because the reason they're together is Texas. I'm done with it.
See, that doesn't bother me. The problem I have is that, like you said, it's more what they've been doing since, like, they're not purely an ROH team anymore. And if you're not going to be purely an ROH team, give up the belts from down there, come up and just be an AEW team to wrestling in AEW. Like, that's where I lose it. I'm not big on, like, the weird crossoverness of it all because no one knows who is what. And so, like, I don't know. That's where they lose me a little bit, but they also just don't belong in this feud. It's an unearned feud. They haven't even been up in AEW enough to justify the feud. Like, that's like part of the problem. If they had been, in wrestling in Dynamite or Collision for the last couple months, even with the ROH belts, if they had at least been wrestling there, I feel like, okay, they've been around and but it's like you just showed up again and you're not Athena. You haven't earned the Athena level where, like, she's been champed down there so long that people are like, yeah, she's awesome, bring her up.
I agree. They're not building any credibility in the tag team division in ROH, so I'm not buying it here, right? I have no interest in seeing the Hurt Syndicate versus Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes. None. Zero. Zilch. Who could possibly care? I get that it's to further stuff with MJF. I don't care.
No.
We get a quick backstage with Renee and Okada, who is not blonde anymore. And he's challenging Mike Bailey to a Double or Nothing AEW Continental title match. Mike Bailey not being pinned is something that Renee points out, which I thought was great work on her because she's full of journalistic integrity, and I appreciate that about her. Any thoughts on this? This was quick and fun, and Okada is Okada.
Yeah, I'm excited for Okada versus Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah, that should be awesome. Looking forward to that. We got Ricochet and Anthony Bowens, and I like it. And Ricochet wins. I do kind of feel like, what are we doing with Anthony Bowens since he returned a little bit? Like, I don't know if he's setting up for a proper feud with Ricochet after this weekend, but I really thought he was going to come back and have a full feud with Max Caster. It feels like that's still very much unfinished. I know he answered the open challenge, and then they had that. But him, like, walking around with Billy Gunn still feels like a very weird part of the presentation to me. I don't know. I assumed that they were going to have him return with intentionality into a proper story. I kind of figured it would be against Max Caster. I don't know what this is. He's fantastic in the ring, and people are getting to see what he can be like as a singles competitor, and this match was very, very good. Result was never in doubt. I just kind of felt like Anthony Bowens' return. Yay. And then what? They've been so much better about that recently that I'm kind of bummed that it feels waffling. We'll see maybe after this pay-per-view cycle, since he came back like at Double or Nothing. Not Double or Nothing, Dynasty. Maybe there's just like, we need to clear out some stuff. Maybe he's in the G1. I don't know what we're doing, but it's weird to me that it's like Anthony Bowens and Daddy Ass, and he's the 5-tool player, but he's still scissoring. Like it kind of feels all over the place to me. Match was great though. I love watching Bowens work. Ricochet's continuing to do fantastic stuff. Very much looking forward to what we've got next for Ricochet and the stretcher match with Mark Briscoe. What did you think of the match? And do you agree with me on the Bowens front? Are you feeling kind of like we're still waffling?
So match was a lot of fun. Like you said, they're showing how good Bowens is in the ring, and Ricochet, of course, has been showing that for years. So, but he hung in there with Ricochet, like was with him every step of the way, and actually, in a lot of ways, looked obviously within the story looked to be the better guy. Ricochet almost felt like he escaped with a win.
Yes, I thought he did a very good job as a heel of making the face look very good.
Yeah, so that I enjoyed. You're not the only one I saw talk about that tonight, where like everybody's like, this is basically the same Bowens, just minus Max. Like,
yeah, it's a little. They like are pushing the 5-tool player thing, but they haven't gotten rid of the old presentation.
He needs to be truly on his own.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because it unfortunately, like, otherwise it just feels too much like he's still in the tag team and Max is just hurt or something. Like, and there, you know, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like I don't know. It's a weird thing where he needs to get out on his own. I guess that's the best thing I could say. It's like I'm trying to think of like, is there anything they could do with him in with
I would like to see him
Daddy-ass,
versus Adam Cole. That would be fun.
Yeah, he just I think he needs to, if he's not gonna, either he needs to go with someone totally, not necessarily a tag team, but like a totally new manager, or out on his own. Either way, just a new presentation.
Like he can promo. Like he doesn't need, like Billy Gunn's not even talking very much, right? So
yeah, like that's my thing. He doesn't need, if they want to give him a manager for whatever reason, that's fine. But the problem is Daddy Ass is Daddy Ass. Like that's all you're gonna see anymore. So like
I wonder if they're gonna do something with him and Juice Robinson. I wonder if that's the move.
Why do you think that's the play?
To get back to Billy Gunn and his sons, maybe.
Oh, I would be okay with.
But after the match, we get Ricochet talking a whole bunch of trash about Mark Briscoe, who appears behind him with a stretcher. The first stretcher match in AEW history, and Briscoe pushes Ricochet on it and goes for the froggy bow, but Ricochet, the heel that he is, scurries away. He's like, he was never really properly presented as a heel in WWE. And I don't mean to undersell the basic intelligence of a wrestler, but he's so comfortable as a heel with all of these nuances. Like, as you said, he kind of got away with one over Bowens tonight. And that was like a pretty selfless and well done heel way of approaching that match. The way he scurried away from Mark Briscoe today. Like he has good heel instincts for someone who wasn't booked as a heel wrestler for a very long time. Like I'm continually impressed by that with Ricochet. So some good stuff there. And we move along. I'm going to save the lady stuff and group it all together because they should all be in the kitchen anyway. But before we flip into that, talk about this FTR, Nigel, and Garcia segment that we kind of got here, because Stokely Hathaway just firing bullets at Adobe Acrobat, which I thought was kind of fucked up, man. Like, it's a great way to sign a PDF. And he's like, we could go about it that way, but we're going to look at them in the face, eye to eye, like men. And I appreciate that. But at the same time, why you got to bring Adobe Acrobat Reader into it? You know what I mean? brutal stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I use Adobe on a almost daily basis, so it's kind of like, why are you shitting on something that I need?
Yeah, I don't like it. I've signed many a PDF with it, so
But even just to open and read a PDF.
it's true. It's a good point. Let's talk about our women's face to face that we get with Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter. It's been so great to see Jamie speak for herself over the course of this feud this extensively. I think people didn't realize she did not have a live in-ring promo her entire championship reign before she got injured. Zero times has she done that in front of a live crowd. And now she's really settled into it. Like, this is bigger than little sneaky backstages with Mercedes, right? She really stood up for herself today, and I thought this was very well done. Mercedes and Jamie talk about how important this match is Sunday. I loved Jamie saying, like, please underestimate me. Like, I love it when people do that. And her also kind of pointing out that, like, I am a former, they're driving home that she's a former world champion, which I'm glad, because when she came back and went for Julia Hart, I was like, that's fun and it's interesting, but I thought Jamie would be immediately hungry to get back to her title. Now she's on a course to do that, and I thought it was great. She says she's not some obnoxious CEO. Basically, she's someone that was created by the people. Like, that's where her scrappiness comes from. And I liked the measured but conversational approach she took with this, with Renee. And then I liked what Mercedes said. She just said, like, I loved Renee being like, are you a little bit nervous? And her laughing that off and calling herself the Beyonce of pro wrestling, and Jamie pointing out, like, hey, you aren't Mercedes 4 belts anymore. You lost that New Japan belt, and I think it's the beginning of you unraveling. Fantastic stuff here. And then we get some physicality. Hayter taking out Mercedes with the Haterade, and Toni Storm coming out because she's going to be on commentary. Nice dovetailing, which is the actual reason I smushed all the women's segments together. They dovetailed them, so I thought, darn it, why don't I do that too? I think Mercedes is much better in, the chat is saying it too, like, she's better in these conversational settings because that's how human beings actually talk. Like, human beings don't actually just talk to a camera. They talk to a human being, right? So I think she sounds much more natural in these types of things, and I like that from her. This was fun. This was good stuff, and it was good go homey business. I'm very excited for this match because I can't wait for Mercedes. It's one of her greatest strengths is her selling, and she's going to sell her ass off for Jamie Hayter the same way she did for Chris. I think I'm very much looking forward to that. What do you think of what we got in the sit down?
So you're right on all your points. Jamie loved her promo. So it's kind of an interesting when you compare this to our opening promo, because these both sold the match for the people involved in different ways. This didn't have quite the level of emotion because Mercedes doesn't have quite the level of emotional investment, which I think isn't also purposeful. I think that's part of the whole sell. Like, yeah, like, and I think that's like, you had your Hangman, Ospreay, and Hayter, who's like, hey, I gotta prove that I'm back, and I was this, and I nearly lost it, and here I am, and I'm back to this level. And you don't have Mercedes just being like, I'm Mercedes. And obviously more than that, but her still very cocky, very like above it all, which
she's very dismissive in this.
Yes. And I really enjoyed that. I think, I think part of Mercedes promos outside of this, her almost, I don't call it robotic because I don't think she's robotic, but her stiffer delivery, I think, is intentional sometimes, because in a lot of ways, she wants to come off fake. She wants to come off like, I'm better than you, and like this arrogant fake WWE style promo. And I think that's all intentional. So these moments where you get reality out of her, which she got towards as it went on, hits a little bit better. And then when it finally flips and you get real emotion from her, you'll have like the ultimate. So I think that's the fun thing there. But And the physicality was fine. I mean, I expected it, and I like what they're letting Hayter get her shots.
I like that they let her fall out of the chair. Like, I like that Mercedes just pushed her over in the chair. I thought that was good because it's not like we conveniently stood up at the same time. Like, I thought that was pretty well put together.
Yeah.
But we move along to the women's match. Which there was a lot of yakety actually. They probably could have put another one on there, but it is a go home, so whatever. But we get Mina Shirakawa besting Julia Hart in this. Good match. Very excited that Mina is here. I think she adds a lot to this division. I think when Kenny had this idea of Stardom talent working in AEW initially, it got thwarted by COVID. And I don't know if they knew which Joshi talent were going to be the ones to translate. And I think they've been doing a good job in more recent times of kind of putting their toe in the water with some of them before making larger commitments. And Mina is someone that is just immediately clicked right away. We did get another Tekla tease with the spider, so that's some good stuff. But post-match, the fight continues. Mina gets the figure 4 on Julia Hart, and Sky Blue comes running down to save Julia. So nice that they're continuing kind of picking up where they left off with that. So that partnership reignited a little bit, and then Toni Storm hit the ring to save Mina, but they end up in a brawl. I just like the lovers' quarrel of it all was so much fun. And Mina put Storm in a figure 4 around the ring post. So some fun. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. We're destined to fight, but I love you. Action in all of this. Toni Storm, of course, on commentary, and
I just want you to
loved
do
her
more
look
Toni
to-
Storm stuff.
What'd you say?
I just want you to do more Toni Storm voice.
I can't do the transatlantic accent as well, but I do love the darling nature of it all. It actually is what fucks me up from realizing that she's not even 30 years old yet. I think she's 30 in October. But her using that transatlantic accent is kind of makes her quote unquote timeless in that way, where I'm like, she could be 20, she could be 40, but she talks like this, so it like kind of automatically ages you. But some good stuff here. The figure 4 around the ring post I thought was a fun spot, but I love that Toni came down to make the save so that she can fight her. You know, it's a fun little wrinkle in this. I don't think Mina's winning because they've teased Mercedes versus Toni so many times, but this was good. This was all productive stuff. I like that Sky Blue and Julia Hart are picking up their alliance again. That makes me happy.
Give me goddamn women's tag titles.
We really do at this point. It's so silly they created the ROH Pure title.
The brands you're doing nothing with.
Titles.
Like, give me tag titles. You had the Vendetta. You have Hart and Sky Blue. You have all these, and you're like, but anyway. Match was fun. You're right. Mina's just one of those wrestlers that came in and clicked instantly. Now, going on to your point of when Kenny kind of thought about bringing the Joshi wrestlers over and how it worked, one of the places they failed that they didn't with Mina is they leveraged Mariah May to introduce Mina. So you gave her an in right away.
Sure.
Whereas all the Joshis came over at one time, no one knew who they were. And you had no one to like introduce them to the crowd. Like, you could do all the packages and stuff you want, but if you don't have a crowd favorite or a crowd hatred, one way or the other, to help get these people over, they kind of just like, well, who are you and why do I care? And plus, fortunately, COVID hit. They were here, they were gone, they were here, they were gone. There was a bunch of stuff that just got in the way. But
that whole international tournament they did was in front of no fans, I don't think. Like, that's crazy how much that affected things, for sure.
Yeah. So like I'll the Joshi side of things will always, I think, be a big what if no COVID, because you don't know like
what that would have looked like.
Yeah. But yeah, this match was a lot of fun. I think Mina's going to be really good for this division. She's got I like her style. It's weird. She hit a. I don't want to say it. I'm looking at my notes. I'm trying to figure out. So like, she entered the ring in between the ropes one point when someone was in the quarter in a way that I don't typically see, and she does a couple things like that. And I always look for that in wrestlers to make them stand out. And she has a couple things like that. But after the match, Tony kind of like slowly got like purposely, but slowly got in the ring to beat up Sky Blue and Julia Hart, which was funny. Like it was like,
yeah,
I'm not going to rush this. I'm not going to rush this. I'm going to come, I'm going to do my thing, and then we're going to fight. That match is going to be fun, but clearly Tony's going to win, but I'm okay with that. This is just a way to like reintroduce Mina at a certain level.
Yes, establishing her at the top of the card for sure.
If they do for her what they did for Megan Bayne, now Megan Bayne hasn't been seen for a couple of weeks, but I'm okay if a couple of weeks go by without a wrestler being seen. It's when months go by, but
sure,
Megan Bayne lost, but she still was around. Like as long as because of course Deanna been, as long as you don't just have them disappear.
On ROH winning the women's pure title,
which would be great if ROH was an actual promotion, but
sure would.
Yeah, like I'm just there's enough you can do there too. I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be a fun match on Sunday.
I agree. That should be fun, and it also kind of clears up the final loose ends of that story, right? Like that's the last of that love triangle that was going on. So I think that'll be good. That should be a very fun in-ring match as well. Very much looking forward to that. I'm intrigued because Mercedes has things going on with Azumi and Mina, obviously on the New Japan side. So being as though it feels like Tony and Mercedes are headed on a collision course, I wonder if there's things like that going on. But yeah, that was our show for tonight. A good little go home. Very much looking forward to the pay-per-view. If you are someone that collides, do keep in mind that Collision is on tomorrow instead. I think preempting all sorts of stuff that's called Saturday night's main event, playoffs, all sorts of shit that is happening on this loaded weekend on top of their own pay-per-view. I do wonder if they're testing out this Thursday time slot because of the playoffs. I wonder if they're also testing it out as a permanent move for Collision, because I know Saturday causes headaches. But we'll find out. We'll find out. But very much looking forward to the pay-per-view. Very much looking forward to throwing on some Impossible Nuggets, putting on some jeans, throwing on a t-shirt, just chilling out, watching this pay-per-view. But if I could choose any t-shirt in the world to wear during this, it would be from the Mark Order podcast, Pro Wrestling Tee Store. And I would encourage everyone to watch this in your Mark Order t-shirts. And if you don't have one, by God, what are you doing? Head over to Pro Wrestling Tees right now and order a Mark Order shirt. Don't you see our logo on this beautiful background? Don't you want that on your body? Don't you want it on the front and the back of your body? My God. Head over to Pro Wrestling Tees. I'm sure they're having some Memorial Day mayhem, 20% off. This equals the shipping charge discount, whatever the fuck, okay? I know that segue was a stretch. It's not my best. They're not all going to be winners. I do like 100 a week, okay?
I'm impressed. That's why I sat back and just started watching. I didn't know where you were going. I thought we were going this way. You went that. I'm just impressed.
It took me it took me a long way to get there.
Yeah.
I just kind of I floated around right into it. But you can head over to the Pro Wrestling Tees website. Beat your shipping charges by throwing a Mark Order t-shirt onto your order, or hell, order all 4. Go crazy. Go crazy. Before we get out of here, Ryan, you're here Wednesdays for wrestling. You're here for all your Philly sports teams. You're even here for the Jericho Cruise for a couple years in a row now. You're here for the present. You're here for the future. But damn it, are you here for the past, as it were?
Jesus Christ, you're on fire right now. My God. Yes. I am here for the present. You can find me at Mark Order Pod on all socials, but you can also follow my history blog, hereforhistory.com. I released a new one, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, about the West Virginia Coal Mine Wars. I'm going to have my follow-up article. If it's not out by Friday, it'll be up by early next week. I'm going to still stick to my new 2 articles a month, type one topic, one follow-up per month. So hereforhistory.com, @_hereforhistory, @hereforhistory, depending on what social. Kate, I don't have a very long segue because in order to do a long segue, I would need to go over the long list of things you do. And the list of things you do is very long. So what do you do and where are you?
I'll shorten it. I do a bunch of shows at Fightful. I do them on Tuesdays and Fridays on the main channel. I do them on Mondays on Fightful Select, and I do them behind the paywall for PLEs. So you can catch me over there. And you can follow me at Miss Kate Fabe on social media, but I hate social media, I think. So I'm on it less and less, but you can follow me there. Most of the people that are in our chat, I quite enjoy interacting with. So I appreciate y'all tuning in to all of the crazy shit I've been doing too many times a week for almost in August. It'll be 5 years at Fightful, which is weird, but neat. So thank you for all the support over there. It's very much appreciated. And all the support here. Obviously, Wednesdays when I can be here, I'm talking all things all elite. So one of us is usually absent, as the past 2 months have gone. But sometimes you get all 3 of us. And sometimes one of the 2 people that's here is also me.
Sometimes it's not. We'll find out.
But guys, enjoy the pay-per-view this weekend. And we will have all the fallout from Double or Muffin this weekend. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. Bang. And good night.
I do the outro overlay.
There it
I
is.
do the outro music. Play.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.